All right, we're all fat and happy. Dom, how we feeling?
I was fat prior. Now I'm just I'm happier, so good weekend
Fair enough.
for my team. Bad weekend for yours.
Yeah, I'm fatter and less happy.
Yeah, especially because you were at
Is
the
what it
game,
is.
so that's even worse
I
for
was
you.
at the game. That was yeah. We'll get to that. I don't really want to, but we will.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about a lot. There's a lot to kind of get into this week with how
Yeah, it
things
was
kind of
a
played out.
lot of chaos this week.
A lot of chaos and a lot of things to go
A lot of
over. So
fun.
unfortunately, we're gonna
Yeah,
have to run through some stuff pretty quick. That might be
yeah.
longer
Busy
conversations.
beginning of the week. So, Bears Lions. I'm assuming you were watching that game as well.
Of course, I watched this game. This
Yeah,
was the only
figured.
game warranted a watch, and luckily it was at noon, so I wasn't still. I was still in the precipice of like drinking, so like it was more exciting for me.
That was yeah. That was, I was gonna say that was as those couple drinks I had. That little bit of the hair of the dog I had kicked in, and we
Yeah,
found a new life there. But anyway, yeah, the end of that game is really the only thing that's relevant to talk about there. Just
I always
horrendous.
thought, I always thought that Tomlin was bad at clock management, and then earlier this year, Sean McDermott showed me that he's really bad at clock management. And now Matt Eberflus showed me that he is negligent with clock management. Because
Yeah, to put it in
what are you
perspective.
doing? You're just trying to lose the game at that point.
Yeah,
You
I
saw
mean,
your
like to put it
team
in
was doing too
perspective,
well.
his that end of game management was so bad that the
So
Bears,
bad.
for the first time in their 100-year history, fired a coach during the season.
I'm gonna be honest, I think the players gave them no choice. I think
Well, that's
everybody,
also true too. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if they would have rolled him out there next week,
it would have
awful.
been
But
awful, terrible,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the defense looked like it quit on him a little bit ago. But Caleb started playing well, and I feel like they were playing more for Caleb than they were for
Well, it's
Eberflus. But
because Shane Waldron left, so they were able to open up the offense a little bit more. I knew that was gonna happen.
yeah,
And
that too.
then,
I mean, it's
yeah,
curses Shane Waldron anyway. But
and then so the offense was able to open up, but defense was still like kind of there, but kind of not.
yeah, it
Like,
felt like
sure, they
you could tell like they're taking plays off. It's like not everybody's engaged the entire time, and I think that it goes back to what was the game where DJ Moore kind of rolled his ankle and it looked like he was just walking off the field
Oh,
because he
that
just
was
didn't want
early.
to be
Yeah,
there anymore?
that was a
That was
lot
like
earlier
what,
in the
like
season.
3 weeks, 4 weeks ago now.
I was gonna say,
But like that was when it really felt like it was starting. The locker room was starting to turn
yeah.
on
I
Eberflus.
mean, just kind of looking back, like they've lost six straight now. Last three by
Yeah.
one score games, and then prior to that, they got dominated by the Patriots and
Oh
dominated by the
yeah.
Cardinals. Both of those
Those
games,
were the
like
two games. Yeah. That
you
it looked
you
like they
should
were
or you could have
kind
had
of out.
if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's where the offense said, "Nah, I don't want to be here."
Yeah. The only thing that I'm concerned about with this is like I mean I've said it several times now is I don't want them to talk themselves into an interim coach.
I don't think they're gonna.
I don't.
I think
I don't have enough faith in that
well,
organization
there's
to
nobody
not fall for it.
there's nobody on that coaching staff that's warranted. Because if you take an interim coach, it's an Eberflus guy, so you're just getting that same system.
No, I understand that, but like, look at what the Raiders just did with Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, but the difference is between Pearson, what he was doing, and Eberflus, whatever the hell he's doing, is that Pierce was a locker room guy. The players backed him. So when he stepped up, the players already liked him going into that situation. I don't think the players give a shit about anybody on that coaching staff. That's the
Hey, who is it?
difference.
Thomas Brown? Is that his name?
Yeah, just some guy.
It was the guy that got promoted to the OC, and now he's the interim head coach. So
That's
2 weeks,
awful.
a
That's
month ago,
terrible.
he was
A passing game
a
coordinator or
coach on,
something like
I
that.
think, something like that, and then becomes the interim OC, and now he's the interim head coach. I just saw he said at a press conference he lost like 20 pounds
Yeah,
since
the
he's
the
become the
guy's
OC.
the guy's nervous as shit. There's no way you can take a guy like that and keep him. I don't
No,
care if you
I
win
agree with
out.
that, but I'm just saying if they rattle off a few wins here and they look pretty good, like
I mean,
and
you
the
have
players start to like them, then it's a weird situation there because they've been notoriously cheap on hiring coaches.
yeah, I don't know. You have a little bit of a gauntlet here to end the year, especially facing defense. Like you go up against the Niners, Vikings. Seahawks, all to end the year. Those are 3 top 15 defenses in the league. And then you still play the Lions and the Packers. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost 4 out of those 5. I'm going to be
I
honest with you.
wouldn't either, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, you get to fire the coach, you get the boost the next week. You see it all the time.
Yeah, sure. But they also play the Niners. If they were playing like the Lions again or
Yeah, but
the
the Niners
Seahawks.
might not have Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey's done for the year. Jordan Mason,
Yeah, so it's just
is he
like
on IR now? And Nick Bosa has been
McCaffrey's on IR.
dealing with stuff. Yeah, that's an injury riddled Niners team right now.
So you gotta hope. If you don't win that game, like, what are you doing?
Also true, but that's kind of part of it too. Is like you almost want to lose that game if you're a Bears fan, and then just completely put to rest any chance of any part of that
For sure
coaching staff to survive, because it's been a disaster. And then you hope that they decide to spend some money on a Ben Johnson just for the sake of you get better on offense, you weaken the Lions. I think that's the one team that it makes the absolute most sense to really spend money on. Yeah. I know it's a gamble. I know where you're going to go with this is like you don't know if he's going to be a good head coach. I agree with that.
Are we talking Ben Johnson?
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson's going to be a fine head coach. My thing is, I don't know if he wants to go to Chicago. I've said this week over week. You're fair. On the opposite end of this. I think it's going to take one team and one team only. And after watching kind of some snippets from Hard Knocks and what I've seen from Zach Taylor this year, he is not a good head coach.
That's fair. I just don't think the Bengals are going to fire him.
They should.
I just don't think that job's going to be available. That's where I've pushed back on you. It's like, I get that. I totally understand that. And if that job comes available, yes, you go with Joe Burrow versus Caleb Williams in this moment. But I just don't think that job's going to be on the table. You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, just kind of looking at the end of their year, they go to Dallas, to Tennessee, home against the Browns, home against the Broncos, to Pittsburgh. So you hope to win 3 of those, and at that point you're 7-10. You're picking like 14th again for back-to-back years. What does that do for you? I don't know.
For the Bengals?
Are you talking about? I don't know if I can keep a guy who got me to a Super Bowl just because it's like that same argument. Like, I don't know.
I agree with that. I'm not agreeing with your thought process. I am also of the same belief there. But
we've talked about this.
It's the reality of cheap ownership. The Bengals, the Bears, the Chargers forever, and then they finally snapped and opened up for Harbaugh. And look what it's done for them. The only thing is, if the Bears and Bengals look at the Chargers and what they were able to do with bringing in Harbaugh, that's the only reason I could see them, if they just finally go, okay, it's worth it. If they can talk themselves into saying it's worth it. But I don't think that the Bengals are going to do that.
I think there's going to be maybe a few surprise fires that could change some minds of some people. But I mean, we're going to see. But that's a good segue here.
That's always happens.
To our next game. We're going to talk about the Steelers-Bengals here. And that whatever the hell happened on Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati. This game was not as close as it looked. Let's just be honest. I know you didn't get a chance to actually watch the game as it unfolded.
But I could, from being down there, they had red zone fucking everywhere, like outside the stadium, in the stadium. So I was catching a lot of it, and it was because Bengals scored late in that game, didn't they?
Bengals scored very late. They scored 2 touchdowns pretty late in the game, and at that point, the Steelers were playing cover. They were playing zone. They don't play zone typically, so they were just playing protect, like that bend don't break. But they're breaking pretty often, so it was just one of those things.
Yeah,
I mean, Steelers were down
in perspective,
almost the entirety
of the first half. I was just going to say, just for the sake of how that game was not actually that close. The lowest win probability for the Steelers was at the beginning of the fourth quarter at 81%, and it never got lower than that in the fourth quarter.
In the game or in the second half?
Just more so in the fourth quarter. The second half, it was kind of all over the place a little bit there, but it was fourth quarter was, because that game was 41-24, 9 minutes to go.
Fourth quarter. Yeah. So
I'm just saying, adding to your point.
No. I get what you're saying. I mean, the Steelers could have scored if they would have had 10 more seconds on the clock at the end of the second quarter, right before halftime. They're probably scoring on that drive. There was the penalty on Pickens, which put them back from the 12 to like the 28. So if that doesn't happen, they're probably scoring there. So just a couple stupid penalties by the Steelers and a couple of mismanaged time clocks led to it to look closer, but the Steelers pretty much dominated that entire game. And then if you really want to talk about it, the Russell Wilson pick six shouldn't have been called. It was, I mean, the guy literally shoved Pickens on the ground and then intercepted it. It was kind of like what are we doing here to start the game? But it is what it is. Steelers got a couple calls back, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway was it was just the Steelers having 44 points in them.
Yeah, again, it's the first time they've done
being
that.
Being able to like break 30 like that, like as consistently as they have this year, is insane.
Yeah, they're officially top 10 offense on the season, which is something they haven't done since 2018. They haven't put up 40 plus since 2018. So the fact that they're showing other teams in the league that they can do this is pretty good and weighs a lot. So it makes me feel better knowing that, hey, we can go toe to toe with any offense if we really need to, and that's important because I wasn't expecting a shootout in Cincinnati this weekend.
No, and I'm 90% bought in on the Steelers at this point. The only reason I'm hesitant to be like really start banging the drum for them, like I've said too, like I think they're the scariest team in the AFC. I think that's very real. However, I want to see what they look like after this coming week. So you get the Browns this week, after the Browns, because then it's you go to Philly, to Baltimore, home against the Chiefs, and then you finish with home against the Bengals. But it's really that 3-week stretch. If they go 2-1 in that stretch, I'm having a very different conversation about the Steelers.
Yeah, if they win 2 of those games, I'm over the moon because, and I think that's a real possibility. I think I
don't see why they can't.
Yeah, the game I'm most afraid of in that stretch is Philly, if I'm being honest. And the game I'm least afraid of, hilariously enough, is Kansas City.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think they just match up pretty well against them.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if they go into Philly and beat the Eagles and beat the Chiefs at home and lose to the Ravens in Baltimore, just because, again, like we say, we split. We just always split.
I wouldn't be shocked at any of those outcomes if they were to win 2.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be shocked if they lose 2. It's just, it is what it is. It's a tough stretch.
That's my thing. It's just like, I have had nothing but good things to say about this team, and I think very, very highly of them. I think more highly than most at this point. However, I just need to see it. I need to see those 3 games before I make a really definitive decision on that team.
No, I completely understand. I mean, they're my team, and I'm still not bought in. They're 9-3.
That's fair. I think I'm more bought into them than you are at this point. No, I get that.
I think so. I mean, it's tough to be like a fan of this team, watching them year over year, and just know, like, hey, just pump the brakes a little bit. I actually would rather get the 5 seed at this point than the 3 or the 4. I mean, than the 3 seed, because you're not getting the 4 seed. You're finishing better than whatever Houston finishes. Let's be honest.
Right, but it's like, do you want to play Houston or do you want a home playoff game against the Chargers or?
Yeah, it's exactly that. We've already done the Chargers and we've done Baltimore at home. I know what that can look like, but that was
and it's
week
not
3.
Yeah.
And
however,
now
again, just if they start handling business here, that 1 seed is still in play.
It's still in play. It's still in play for us.
I mean, you have to. Yeah, it's really those 3 there. But like, my thing is like, if you beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day, that helps a ton. And if Kansas City just slips again, kind of thing, it's just like it. Which everything's been close with them, and a lot of these games can go either way.
Something's bound to give. Yeah,
it's entirely possible that they could be looking at that, and there's a whole different thing there.
Mm-hmm.
What was the next game we wanted to go to? Oh, yeah. Chargers-Falcons. Just going through the slate here in order.
Yeah.
Think it's time to pull the plug on Kirk Cousins.
This
I
is
think you have
so
to after the last 3 games.
this is all so hilarious to me when I've been telling you for the last however many weeks now, the Falcons don't
All right.
have it, and every week you're like, no, no, it's this week. This week they're gonna be fine, and I'm like, all right, and we see it again and I mean, he threw how many interceptions? Four this
He
game?
threw 4, and they were bad. Like there was no juice
Oh
in the
yeah,
ball, and
no,
that's what's
they were
concerning me at
terrible.
this point. That's really why I say pull the plug on it and get some juice. It gives me like reminds me of Lamar's rookie year.
Yeah,
Sat for the first, what was it, 11, 12 weeks of that season. Joe Flacco just was kind of in decent position for the playoffs that year, and they decided to make the move to Lamar at that point, and Lamar was great to finish off the year. Just gave him a little different look, everything like that.
yeah,
And they end up making the playoffs, lose to the Chargers. Fine, whatever. I think Penix could give them a nice little boost here. Penix and Bo Nix were the 2 most like pro-ready quarterbacks in this past class,
yeah,
for sure. And I think they play really not Bo Nix and Penix and Cousins. I think they play really similar styles. I just
okay.
think that Penix has more life in his arm at this point.
I mean, you have to hope so. He's
I mean, it's
25.
exactly, but that, you know what I mean. Like he throws a great deep ball, opens up that with Darnell Mooney
Yeah,
there. He makes the right reads. I think this one you can insert him in
yeah.
this week, and it gives you a new life. And you're not going to really skip a beat with that. It might take a series or two,
Well,
just to kind of like for him to finally be in a game kind of thing, and especially with some of the pressure on it right now. But I think if you're the Falcons, with we've been saying it all year, like if they don't at least win the division, this season is a complete failure.
100%. And I don't know if
And I
they're
think
gonna
you
win the
have to.
division.
And at this point, I think like thankfully they beat the Bucks twice, so they
Yeah,
have that tiebreaker right now. But at this point, like I think you have to do something drastic just to after the 3-game skid, everything like that. Love you, Kirk, but he was throwing some ducks out there. There was not much happening with a lot of those, and like especially what was it the last one that he threw
yeah.
was just like it
Yeah.
had no pace on it, like or it might not have been the last one. It was the one that was they ran an out route and it just didn't have any life. And in real time, it looked like defender jumped that and just made a good play. But then when you watch it back, it was just like, oh, that ball was like
It wasn't going
struggling to get to the
anywhere.
sideline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't
it
going
looked
anywhere.
like Drew Brees at the end when his arm was falling apart. That's what it looked like there. That last playoff game against the Bucks, he threw one of those too, where it's just like he just doesn't have the arm strength to throw to the sidelines anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really what you're looking for with your however much money they gave him at the end of the day.
Right.
120, I think it was, but still, I don't know. You gotta hope that that's what it is with Penix. I was never a big guy on Penix coming out of college. I would never, if I'm a
Yeah,
GM
you and
in
I
the
differed on
NFL,
him a lot. I like Penix a lot.
I didn't really care for any quarterbacks outside of the top three in this class. But again, I'm being proven wrong with Bo Nix. I can be proven wrong with Michael Penix, and I'll own that. But Penix, I get it. He has that arm. I'd have to see it. And again, I don't know if the Falcons are going to provide that yet, given how much money you have invested into one player. It's easier to eat
I get that.
a rookie contract than it is to eat $120 million.
No, I agree with that. We talked about the math on that one ad nauseum, like all year here too, like just how confusing it was anyway. But I don't know. It just feels like a spot where your back's against the wall. The Bucks are like Baker has willed that team to tie you in terms of record right now. I think you just kind of say fuck it, like Kirk, you got to sit for a week and let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm all for it happening and just seeing. I just don't know if next week's the week because you are playing
Mm,
Minnesota. You got to think
that's
about
true
that.
too.
Like He's returning to Minnesota, first game back. That's a story. You bench him for Penix.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
no, that's
bigger
fair.
story, but
Yeah,
it's crazy.
not the story that
It's
you wanna paint.
yeah.
Yeah, picture you want to paint there.
All right.
But
Speaking
I don't
of
know.
crazy stories, I don't want to talk about this in a lot of detail just because of the outcome of it. But there was a gruesome hit on Trevor
Oh yeah,
Lawrence. For many different ways I feel about him, I do feel awful that that's the outcome of that on Sunday. He's now done for the season. I mean, it looked bad.
that was a really ugly one to see.
You knew instantly. I mean, it looked like Jacob Truba throwing an elbow at you flying down the
Yeah,
ice. Not a lot of people might get that reference, but it was rough. So
yeah.
elbow to the head smacking against the ground. He's definitely
Hmm.
going to be done for a little while, and I hope he can come back and bounce back for it next year. But the bigger outcome of that is Aziz Al-Shahir is serving a 3-game suspension, and it's not just because of that hit; it's because of other things that he's done
Yeah, I was just gonna
previously.
say
So
like I have a lot of weird and kind of almost conflicting feelings about that whole play. I don't think that Shair was. I don't think there was intent.
no,
I don't think there
but
was I don't think there's intent, and I don't think he's a bad human being. I think
no.
he
Well,
just that's just the brand of football he plays. You know what I mean? I think like it's the two things can be true. Like I don't think there was intent, and I don't think his intent is to ever actually hurt anybody. But I do think he crosses that line
yeah,
more than he should.
most
You know
players,
what I mean?
but
Yeah,
more than
like
99% of players.
he's up against that wall a lot. Um, I and then it's also like the whole conversation about how to handle it just
Hmm.
from the league standpoint with sliding and everything like that. I think Joe Thomas he had a long tweet about it because
I don't pay
so many
attention
people,
to Joe.
that's fair, but he was kind of did lay out like basically like the quote weaponized slide where it's just like you look like you're going to slide and then you keep running and it like,
Oh, you know what? I did
lock
see
up the
that tweet.
defender.
I
It
did
was
see that
that. And
tweet.
then also the
Okay.
sideline stuff. He's just like, like, because Mahomes uses that a lot to his
Yeah,
advantage,
Mahomes
where
does that
it's
so
running on the
much.
sideline and then waits until the very last second to step on the sideline, gets hit, 15 yards added on to the play kind of thing.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did read that
And
tweet
it
pretty
was
thoroughly.
about, yeah. And he did a really good job about it.
I just
Like
didn't know that was
explaining,
Joe
like,
Thomas.
it was Joe Thomas, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd so yeah. To kind of
And like
summarize,
penalizing quarterbacks for it and everything like that. And that's the thing too. And I heard Greg Jennings talk about it too with that play. It was like, yeah, it might have looked like he had time to ease up on that one. He's like, but when you're playing, like you don't get the
yeah,
14 different
I
looks. It's
think
like he's in there and he's coming up to make a play.
yeah,
And
and I agree
it
with
was
all
later,
that,
but still.
and I get it. I think just maybe don't lead with your elbow, don't lead with your forearm. There's other ways to hit somebody
Yeah,
than like this, because
exactly.
9 times
That's
out of
also
10
fair
you
too.
do that. Yeah, I get it. So like if you see somebody starting to slide, there's
Mm.
other ways to tackle them than diving with your forearm first. Because 9 times out of 10, if they do slide, you are making contact with their head. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But
Yeah,
I
and that's
get all of
I
their
heard
points with
somebody
that.
else say about it, like I think you and I were talking. Instead of sliding and completely like you have no protection at that point. That when somebody hits you, like the only way you're going is back, and it's like the head hit and then on the ground kind of thing. It's just like dive, don't slide. It's just like you're trying to make the game safer, but I get the arguments when it comes to the quarterback slide. Like you're fully exposed, and even if like with that play or Kiko Alonso a few years ago and Joe Flacco, like and it's happened so many times now where it's just like
Hmm.
you can't ease up on it because so many guys fake it or whatever. Like you're already committed, and it's hard to stop yourself. Like that's just what happens, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So it's a weird one. Anyway, on to let's just get even more
Yeah.
depressed here. All right, Eagles Ravens. I got to sit through the fucking freezing cold, flurries of snow and wind, and hell for that game.
Yeah. And that wasn't a close game either.
No, it wasn't. It really was not.
It looks close,
I
but it wasn't.
I was not in my seats anymore when Lamar broke off that run and they ended up scoring on that drive and then did
Yeah.
stop at a TV and was just like, all right, let's see if we can get an onside kick here and just, see if some real bullshit happens. Obviously not, but,
No.
whatever. Very aware of all of that.
Yeah. So
The
this is
first thing I
Justin
want to
Tucker's
say,
last season. Is that what we're gonna start with?
I don't know.
Okay. But
So
I'll let
the
you
only
go
reason,
then.
because like Vinny did that too, where he had a bad year at 36 and then played till he was like 47.
But it's not just his bad year at 36. It's he's been going downhill
It's been,
statistically
yeah,
the
no,
last
I
3 years.
I'm
Yeah.
agreeing
That's
with
the
that.
difference.
I'm just
That's the difference.
That's entirely fair. And I listen, like I saw some tweets about, oh, the Boo Birds are out for Justin Tucker, and people were really pissed about that, like Ravens Twitter, and like rightfully so. However, at the same time, I can tell you, I was in that stadium. And those Boo Birds weren't coming from Ravens fans. There was a lot of green in that stadium because, just like me, as a Ravens fan, well, yeah, like it's a 2-hour drive. So did everybody else from Philadelphia, apparently.
Yeah.
That was also annoying to deal with the entire time. That was great. But anyway, so I will say that as well. We'll forever love Justin Tucker. However, when it comes to Justin Tucker, when he missed that extra point, there was a real shift in the mood in that stadium at that point.
Yeah.
Like, being there watching the game, it was like every third down up until that point. So it's like, place was rocking, nobody's sitting down. Like it was a really good environment.
Hmm.
He missed that extra point, and it was like PTSD for every Baltimore fan in that stadium. Where it's just like, yep, today's not going to be the day. Like everybody collectively went like, yeah, no, it's done. Like this is just not going to be the day, and we're going to move on from here. Just like we do with all of our sports, kind of thing. We can find out pretty quickly, and
Yeah.
because that's just being a Baltimore fan. Aside from that, Lamar missed a couple passes in that game. However, he was not the reason that they lost that game. Again, that one really fell on Justin Tucker for the most part there, because he makes that extra point in the 2 field goals. That game is 24-19, not 24-20.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Going down
And
to that
you
last
got
drive.
exactly, yeah, before that last one there, and you got a real shot at that point.
Yeah. For sure.
On the flip side of that, I might be moving into the camp of Jalen Carter for Defensive Player of the Year. That dude
It's one that's building
tremendous.
Yeah, it's definitely one that's building. I've been seeing. The only pushback is Jalen Carter had a great day, so did TJ Watt. So if you both have a great day,
And that's
there's no
entirely fair.
progress. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's a real argument. That dude
Oh no,
wrecked that game.
he's mean. He's a mean. mean
Lamar
dude.
was sacked 3 times in that game. He had been sacked 3 times in the past, like, 3 or 4 weeks leading up to that. And not only that, it was Jalen, because of Jalen Carter, they were getting pressure on almost every single play.
Yeah.
On every pass play, I should say. Because, like, Derrick Henry was rushing the ball well, but it was like pass plays. Lamar was running for his life. The Vic Fangio defense is real right now. That, and then the last thought I have there is Saquon's the MVP.
I think
He is.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win it this year, I think the NFL has to explicitly say the MVP is only for quarterbacks at this point.
That's definitely reasonable. It's definitely these last few weeks. It's going to come down to him and Josh Allen, and I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else in the conversation.
I think those are the only 2. But what I'm saying is, on top of that, if Saquon does end up breaking the rushing record and the scrimmage yard record,
that's what we said needs to happen.
Josh Allen wins it. Let me just for the sake of it, I want to pull up his stats here real quick. Josh Allen is currently 14th in yards.
Mm-hmm.
He is 20th in completion percentage.
Mm-hmm.
He is 6th in touchdowns. And then his rating, he's 10th in rating. So he's top 10 in 2 categories.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's statistical. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, okay, if he finishes with 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns. Throw another pick in there. Call it 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. At roughly 64% completions, and his rating right now. What is his rating?
It's like 65.
100 rating is
QBR.
His QBR is stupid. Nobody cares about that. But his passer rating is 100. 100, yeah, good, but like also not gonna put him above what Lamar was last year, or even Brock Purdy was last year. Like, I think you have to just go, okay, well, it's no longer an award anybody can win. It's specifically for quarterbacks.
I mean, it's
and
basically
I'll be pissed off about it.
It's basically been for quarterbacks for some time now.
Well, since Adrian Peterson, and he was the last 2,000-yard rusher to do it.
Yeah.
And the Vikings were good, and then Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards, but that team was kind of average, and was that Rodgers that year?
Probably.
I think that was Rodgers. Rodgers had an insane
19?
year.
Was it 18? Or I mean, Rodgers won it.
I think it was 19, and Rodgers was like 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, 5 picks. Like, it was an insane year. That's not the kind of year that Josh Allen is having a great year. It is not. It's not what Rodgers had that year, because Rodgers was also completing like 72% of his passes.
Yeah, I guess one thing, because I know that's the next game you want to jump into, is Niners-Bills. I do just want to say 2 young second-year quarterbacks who are really figuring it out after being benched, with A-Rich and Bryce Young. I
was going to go Bryce Young and, honestly, Will Levis.
Will Levis didn't look... He didn't look as good as A-Rich did on Sunday. That's the difference.
That's fair, but Will Levis is also probably bought himself another. I
mean, I hope so. I mean, Tennessee, I'll say it again and again, it's not the draft class to need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It is just not. Plus,
for sure.
They have more holes on that team than Swiss cheese. You got to figure some other places out.
Tennessee defense is actually pretty solid. It's just, you got to figure out the O-line. Tony Pollard is not the answer right now. Like, I mean,
no, but you're also probably not drafting
why they signed him.
Yeah, you're not drafting a quarterback in the first round. There's a lot of other issues on that team that I wouldn't even worry about the quarterback yet. And if Will Levis ends up being what you want, that's even better. Kind of got to figure out some other stuff first. But yeah, Bryce Young has just been phenomenal. Like, he's literally willing them to be in games at this point. He threw for almost 300 yards on Sunday.
So he should have won that game. That Thielen touchdown was kind of some bullshit, but
yeah,
or
definitely
not
was
touchdown.
Yeah, the not touchdown, and then A-Rich. He only had 109 yards passing, but what I really want to talk about is the drive at the end of the game to win that game. Statistically, it was not his best game, but looks wise, he was pretty phenomenal when he needed to be down that stretch to get them into the position to throw a dart to win that game. So
I was going to say my biggest takeaway was Patriots saying fuck it, went for a 68-yard field goal and almost hit it.
Did they? Wow, I love that.
Did you see that at the end? They had a chance to. Yeah, they had the ball there, and that was I think that was to end the game.
I mean, that would make
pretty
sense.
Sure. Yeah, missed field goal. That was it was field goal at the gun, 68-yarder. Go back and watch that. Like, it was.
That's crazy.
It came up short, obviously.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It was closer.
Wasn't by as much as you would have expected.
All right. Nice.
Yeah, okay, so that was the other part of that. Anyway, Niners-Bills.
We're at 37. This one's going to be a minute.
We're getting there. This one is going to be a minute because I'm going Galaxy Brain here a little bit.
My anger is not good.
I know. I pissed you off with this before you even started. So the Niners are currently sitting at 5-7, last in that division. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's 6-6.
McCaffrey. 7-6. Yeah. McCaffrey done for the year. Brock Purdy has a mysterious injury. Nick Bosa has not played in 2 straight now.
Yeah, I think so. Trent
You're
Williams.
probably going to lose a couple pieces in free agency on defense. Greenlaw, I think, is a free agent this year, and I think Ward is a free agent this year.
There's
a couple of guys.
Maybe.
I think there's a couple guys on defense that are probably going to end up walking because now with the Brandon Ayuk contract.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason, I think, is done. Did he go on IR?
He's also on IR. So
I was going to say.
they're running back tandems, Isaac Arundo, who's a rookie, and then they just signed Israel Abanikanda.
Cool. So names that I've never heard of and don't care about is basically the point of the making.
Israel Abanikanda is a Pitt legend. He is a speedster, so exactly the kind of guy the Niners like.
Let me lean in here. I don't care.
Continue. Whatever.
Anyway, so there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
If they end up just because the rest of their schedule too, they get Bears next week who have been playing well. Then they get the Rams, Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals. They steal one or two of those.
Okay.
They're a 7-1 team. I think it's on the board. I don't think it's. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win another game the rest of the year. They're a 5-win team.
Yeah. Okay. Let's run.
Worst case scenario, or could be a 6-win team.
Okay.
That would then put them roughly. Expanded. No. League. There we go. 5-win team puts them drafting somewhere in the range of what? 8 to 13?
I'd say 8 to 11 typically. Historically.
Depends on who wins where and things like that. There's some because there's a lot of 2 and 3 win teams right now. We did talk about it briefly about what do you do with the whole Brock Purdy thing. The Niners have already shown that they're willing to move off a quarterback that got them to a Super Bowl. And then they did invest a lot of draft capital to get Trey Lance. That did not work. However, if they're just going to be sitting at 9 with some of the teams ahead of them not drafting quarterbacks, like the Patriots are not drafting a quarterback. The Jaguars, more than likely not drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Carolina, not drafting. We just talked about Tennessee. Very much on the board that they don't draft the quarterback. I think you just kind of go, one's going to fall to us. We're not totally sold on Brock Purdy. We don't know if we want to give him $60 million or upwards of 55, call it, even still. That's an insane amount of money. Deebo Samuel is probably also going to be a trade piece in this offseason. So you're going to get another third rounder. Yeah. Think about a third,
probably
fourth.
A fourth. You typically are worth less in the offseason, which is weird.
For sure, but still, mid-round pick. They're not going to ship him off for just a 7th. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I'd say a fourth. Fourth is probably pretty fair.
Which is not valuable.
No.
You know what I mean? I think you almost have to just kind of sit there and go, fuck it, let's take one.
All right, well, you got a name.
Because you're not going to start them. You're not going to start them right away.
Yeah, let me hear the name because you've been building this up here.
Going with the name, and I'm surprised you hadn't picked it, just because of build, everything like that, and a system that makes quarterbacking pretty fucking easy.
I just want to hear you say it so then I can yell at you for how stupid you are.
Drew Aller.
Drew Aller is not going. He's not going in the top 10. You can literally sit in the third round and draft.
Nobody thought. Yeah, but nobody thought Michael Penix was going to go in the top 10. And he went 8.
Nobody thought Michael Penix versus Drew Aller is way different. Michael Penix is still a better college quarterback than Drew Aller ever was. I knew this is where you were going to go.
Yeah, because he was 24 when he was playing his last year.
Yeah, but even then, he still has a bigger arm. He still is more poised, and he's still a more professional, ready quarterback. Drew Aller, I understand that,
but what I'm saying is, if you put Drew Aller in that system, do you think he's a flop if he's got Kyle Shanahan as his coach?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying you don't need to do it in the top 10. I'm saying you can sit back and wait until the second, third round, and you can still draft Drew Aller.
Maybe.
He's not a first. No, it's not a maybe. He's not a first-round quarterback.
Yeah, but we're talking about quarterback inflation, and
this year is not. It's not that big of a quarterback inflation this year. You're not going to see 6 first-round quarterbacks.
I'm not saying just in general. I'm not saying just this year. I am with you that this quarterback class is not last year or everything like that.
I'll tell you.
Okay, Drew Aller versus Kenny Pickett.
That, again, different argument because that was Pittsburgh reaching on a quarterback that they saw every day.
No, but I understand. Okay, but where did you value Kenny Pickett as a prospect versus Drew Aller?
Kenny Pickett had a better year that year when he went in the first round than Drew Aller has had this year. Kenny Pickett was a Heisman finalist. Drew Aller isn't even near the Heisman conversation. It is a lot different. Lot different. Kenny Pickett that
He's
year
got
threw
bigger hands.
It doesn't fucking matter. Kenny Pickett that year threw 45 touchdowns to like 3 interceptions, and he had a rushing attack. It's a different
he also had Jordan
conversation.
Addison, who's been amazing for the Vikings.
Yeah.
When he's on the field, not in this card.
I think there is a Penn State offensive player who's going to go in the first round. That's not a quarterback. We all know who that is, but it's Tyler Bourne. But it's not going to be Drew Aller. He's going to go in the day 2. Period. There's no further conversation. You can try to argue me all day and long. It's not happening. You do know. There's 3 potential first-round quarterbacks. It's Shedeur Sanders, it is Cam Ward, and it is Jalen Monroe. Outside of that, nobody's worth even thinking about. That is period, end of conversation.
That was the other name I was going to say was Jalen Milroe, honestly.
See, that would make more sense. I'd have less to fight you about.
I understand that, but but here's my other thing. Is just like, okay, who's the other quarterback that Kyle Shanahan loved that he wanted to draft?
It was
the year that they took Trey Lance.
It was
the year that they took
Mac Jones. It was Mac Jones.
He wanted Mac Jones.
Again, Mac Jones was still more of a first-round touted prospect than Drew Aller is. There's not even a sniff of Drew Aller getting in the first round. Not even a sniff. We always know what quarterbacks are even a thought to go in the first round, or even a thought.
Drew Aller is not even a shock. I think there's going to be one shock, and I think it's going to be
quarterback. It's never a shock.
Anthony
That's
Richardson,
the one position.
Yeah, but Richardson too was like, oh, what do we do with this guy? And then all of a sudden he goes to the combine, blows up, and everybody loved him after that. And he's second quarterback off the board. Third quarterback off the board. Whatever.
I'm just going to stop you. This is where I know we differ. I look at draft stuff all year long. I have conversations. I talk to people. That year specifically with Richardson, everybody knew he was going to be a top 10 pick because of his traits. Not because of his production, because of his traits. Drew Aller doesn't have traits, and he barely has production. Let's just call it what it is.
It was hurtful.
But somebody needs to be honest with you. Somebody needs to be honest with you.
I don't know. There's whatever.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's just not a top 10 pick. Period.
That's
period. Fair. I like the conversation. I'm happy it was that route so I could end it very quickly. So, yes, there's always draft surprises. It's just never that way with a quarterback where somebody reaches. It's always when somebody falls.
Fair enough.
It happened with Malik Willis. It happened with Will Levis. The quarterback fell. Now, last year was the enigma where 6 quarterbacks went in the top 10, top 12. They all went a little.
Yeah, whatever.
That was the one enigma because everybody looked at this year and said, oh, shit, this class is not good.
Again, I agree with that. I just,
I think you also have some rose.
You go 6 quarterbacks were not all going to hit. But I feel like they all ended up in the spots that they needed to. Obviously, one's getting taken by the Bears, and that's always a crapshoot at this point, regardless of how talented Caleb Williams is. But if there was going to be one quarterback that was taken by the Bears that could overcome that, it was going to be Caleb. You know what I mean? And Bo Nix falling to Peyton, everything like that. I'm with you that this class is not good. However, if the Niners do decide to take someone, that's the guy you're going to look for. Or you should look for it.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying don't look for it in round 1. They've already proven, hey, we can kind of find a guy later on.
No, I agree with that. But, my argument is, too, it's just all right, when do you think you're going to find yourself in the top 10 again?
If you do find yourself in the top 10, hopefully it's in a class where it's more quarterbacks that are warranted of that pick. If you're going to take a quarterback in the top 10, it's not going to be Drew Aller. That's what I'm saying.
Fine. You can yell at me for that part of it, but I'll accept.
If you want to
take
a top,
your anger on that.
If you want to take that pissed me off even more than anything else. If you're going to do it, make it worth it. Make it be the best damn quarterback prospect you can take.
No, but I understand that. But when do you think that they're going to find themselves in that position again with Kyle Shanahan? The only other time that they were there early and where they drafted Nick Bosa was because that was a season from hell for them.
Well, I mean, let's you want me to really twist the knife? If you're really that good of a coach, you wouldn't be in the top 10 twice in your tenure.
Well, also,
Well,
okay,
let's be
well,
honest.
see
You want
now,
to really be honest here?
I get that, but like,
I'm just
let's not
saying.
get too carried away on the
I'm just
Kyle
saying.
Shanahan stuff. I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna
saying
go that
Kyle
far.
Shanahan's a bad coach. That's not what I'm saying. But that's what is coming out of my mouth because you pushed me there.
I don't.
I'm not calling him a bad coach. I'm saying
So the first year that they drafted high was they put all their eggs in their basket there to get Jimmy Garoppolo. He tears his ACL. That team also kind of didn't have the level of talent at that point to overcome that, and they also had cluster injuries. Now they go on a run after that of being absolutely great, and then this year they get cluster injuries again. McCaffrey
yeah.
isn't there. Trent Williams is in
Actually,
and out of the lineup. Brandon Ayuk tears his ACL.
what
Debo
year did Kyle Shanahan start with the Niners? What year was that? Okay, then
2017 18.
this would be
I
his
think 17
third
18 was his first year.
this would be his third top 10 pick because he picked Nick Bosa. At
Well, Nick Bosa, but they traded up to get Trey Lance.
Yeah, but they traded up from what 10?
No, they were lower than
No,
that
that
year.
was the double trade. That was the double trade. They
Yeah,
traded to 8,
yeah,
then they traded. So I think they were at 12 or 13 for that.
yeah. They had like three or four total first round picks involved in getting up to 3 to draft him.
Yeah, but regardless, you were even in that close of a position to move up or willing to. And the
Not
Niners front
necessarily.
office,
I think they started at like 18 that year. 17,
yeah,
18. They like just missed the playoffs, moved up to 8, and then moved up from 8 to
the
3 or
Niners
whatever
though
it was there.
overall have not proven well to be the best at drafting players, let alone quarterbacks in recent years. So if you really want to play that, do you really trust your front office to draft a quarterback when they already missed once? And not only did they miss, they didn't even bother to try to develop him. And then on the
Well, I
other
mean, let's be
side,
real though, too. Like again, I think that
he was
goes to
hurt. He
Kyle
was hurt a
Shanahan.
lot.
Well, not even that, but like Kyle Shanahan as a coach, just because no, this isn't the guy.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
that's where I go with that.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's get into the top tens. We'll do the coaching thing. We'll do a whole fucking top 10 coaches in our opinions after this year. Let's not have that anymore. Anyway, top tens. Who do you got at 10?
I have it at 10.
So do I.
Oh, it's sick. I'm so bad. I'm so bad right now. They showed last night that they can score.
Last night?
Last night is
Tuesday Night
Wednesday.
Football?
They showed on Monday. I don't know what day it is. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm so mad right now. They showed on Monday that they were able to put up 40 points, just like the Steelers did. So that's the second or third time they've done that. Their defense continues to show up. They were able to hold Jameis back. Can't even finish that sentence.
I know. This is fun for me. This is okay, so
Just
you're
like
drinking
being
coffee
Enigma.
right now. I'm having a couple glasses of wine. This is fantastic for me. I like
I
getting
need
you like this. And then you just hold on to it. This is fun.
whatever.
I
It's
knew
fine.
I did know like again, I stand by Drew Allen with the Niners would work. However, I knew it was gonna piss you off.
I told
That's
you
why
we
I
needed this.
waited.
We
I
needed.
didn't tell you before we started this because I wanted that reaction. But anyway, yeah, the Broncos. Yeah, they showed that they can score points. And and what was the one thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, whether Bo Nix is going to be like legitimately great or not, I don't know. Again, I was not a Bo Nix fan as a prospect by any means. However,
Yeah.
the second that the Broncos got him, I was on board with it just because it fits with Sean Payton.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And the trust he already has, letting him fire from the end zone, from his own end zone, more than once in that game.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that's how they
that tells
scored
me,
that
like,
97
yeah,
yarder or
exactly.
whatever it was.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Is just like, okay, he's a rookie quarterback. He's 13, 12 games in, whatever, and Sean Payton is going, yeah, go ahead, drop back and let it rip from your own end zone. Like, tells me a lot about Bo Nix. Again, I think he's very close to his ceiling, and I think he peaks a lot sooner.
Yeah.
However, I don't think he's a bum. He's
He's definitely not
rookie.
a bum. Yeah.
No, he's rookie Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he's something.
He's back to he's the the one of the
I think a
Kirk
lot of
Cousins
that is
variations for me.
yeah, I think a lot of this is the Broncos are kind of finding a cohesiveness in their unit. They're figuring out their play style and what they want. That comes with Sean Payton really working with his offense and getting them on the same page. Because if you look back at the early part of the season, that wasn't the case. But now, as it's progressed and you've kind of gotten into it, it's a much different team. Because,
Yeah, that
I mean, you
defense
look
is
back,
real.
yeah, you look back to their offense week 1, week 2, week 3, like they struggled hardcore against Pittsburgh. Hardcore. And now they're kind of proving like, hey, we can kind of match up against better defenses now.
And that's also just Mike Tomlin against rookie quarterbacks. Like he can put you through hell.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So like, there's that. Again, I mean, they're a playoff team,
Yeah, they definitely are.
and they're not winning a playoff game. But I can tell you, whoever has to play them as a 2 seed is just
Yeah.
like, God damn it!
Well,
Like we know
there's
we're gonna
no
like you feel very good about winning that game, but it's also just like I just don't want to. It's
yeah,
just a lot more effort into a game that you're going to
yeah.
win the year. That's it.
That's going to be almost every single one of these AFC playoff matches, I feel.
For sure. Well, yeah, to varying degree. Like I said, like I don't think anybody is like actually scared of the Broncos. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But they also just don't want to have to do that.
100%.
There's that as well. All right, who you got at 9?
I have the Packers.
Ooh, I do not. I got the Packers up at 6, actually.
Oh, you have them much higher than I have. Who do you have at 9? The
Yeah.
Vikings? Who do you have at 9? I'm curious now.
Bullshit team that made me drive down to watch
Wow,
in the cold.
you really dropped
Yeah,
them. They
no,
made you
I dropped them a
mad.
lot. It's not even that they
Yeah,
made me mad.
okay.
It's just like I'll get into that then. But yeah, Packers. Go ahead. Where are you at?
I mean, they just continue to be the same team that we see every week. They have a fun. They're fun. Like you know what you're getting every single week. You're getting a team that can put up points, but also they're going to scare you a little bit. They have a few games still left here that will let me know if I'm going to push them up a little bit higher or not. That I'm going to want to see. I mean, one of those games is tomorrow against the Lions, so that's going to be if you beat the Lions, yeah, I'm gonna push you up a bit. But your 3 losses on the season are to the Vikings
Eagles early, the Vikings, and
and
then
the Lions.
yeah,
So
I mean 3 completely fair losses.
no, 100%. But in order to really get to that next tier, I want to see you win one of those games. I want, yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
that's
yeah,
also why
that's
I,
fair.
I can't I can't put you over the Vikings because the Vikings they're the Chiefs of the NFC. They figure out how to win games when they shouldn't.
That's fair. No, I'm much higher on the Packers right now. I was kind of got away from it for a little bit there because it was the whole Jordan Love. I don't know what's happening every time he throws the ball.
Yeah.
However, I'm back in on them because they're
Okay.
starting to heat up now. They're getting better every week. Jordan Love
Yeah.
is looking better every week.
Yeah.
Since he's been the quarterback, they are 9-1 if they don't have a turnover.
Okay. I mean that's a good statistic.
Yeah, like that's impressive. And
Yeah, so don't turn the ball
I'll
over.
just tell you, like little early for it. I think they take care of business against the Lions tomorrow in Detroit.
Okay.
I think they win that game with the Lions' injuries, everything like that. I think that they are.
If they're gonna steal one, this is the week to steal it.
I think this is it. I think they steal that one, put the Lions in dire straits there, a little bit, just because of where they were versus now what's going on with that division, and
Okay.
where they could fall in the playoff standings.
Sure.
No, I'm liking the Packers more and more. The defense still concerns me, but with
Yeah.
them,
Always. Yeah, it's gonna
this is
concern me.
also because they're going to be a wild card team more than likely. I like them more as a wild card team than if they get a home playoff game.
Yeah, yeah. And we've talked about this before.
Because if they have to go to a dome or nice weather, I like them more. If they're
Yeah.
playing in 20-degree weather in Green Bay in January, I don't like them as much just because of the brand of team that they are. It's like this weird, like they do well in the cold. Like obviously Thursday, we talked about it. I was on that, and it literally just came down to the weather for me on that one.
Mm-hmm.
They're the Dolphins, but they can handle the cold weather.
Yeah,
but they
exactly.
look a lot better when it's not cold. And not just like, every team looks better when they're playing in good weather, but also they look so much better
Yeah.
when they get to play on a fast track. So that's where I'm at with the Packers. Yeah, no, I have the Ravens at 9.
Okay. But get
This
into it. I
is,
have them at 7.
do you have it at 7?
Not too
I
far.
thought about
Yeah.
it. I thought about it with the teams that I have above them there, but I think this is where they deserve to be right now. Lamar is fantastic. This is nothing. Yeah, like he's still great. Derrick Henry's playing great. I did see somebody pointed out that I think in all of their losses, or not all of their losses, it's like if, I forget exactly what it was, but it was like if Lamar doesn't have over 100 passer rating,
Hmm.
they lose or they struggle to win games kind of thing. And it's like, guys, you can't, like, it can't be a one-man show. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where it's at. Now, and this is where we're at right now, too. It's just like, okay, the defense is finally coming to form. Defense played really well on Sunday. Held A.J. Brown to 66 yards, no touchdowns. They did a good job against him. Jalen Hurts only threw for like a buck 80 or something. Not even. Like he statistically didn't have a big game at all. It was
Yeah.
just worn down. Saquon MVP. Like he just finally beats you up at the end of games. But the defense has looked better, good now for 3 straight weeks, like legitimately good. But now on Sunday, the offensive line kind of falters a little bit. Now you can blame Jalen Carter for that because, like I just said, like he's been a game wrecker, and now it's Justin Tucker can't make a field goal. Like it's just they keep finding something. It's just like you patch one hole in a leak, and then another one breaks off somewhere else. It's just like they can't find a way to put this whole thing together anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with them and I made the comparison to you. The Ravens this year and last year is just like the Orioles this year and last year. Last year felt like the years for both of these teams where, man, these guys look great. Everything's humming, everything is there. And then it's just crushing playoff loss. Then this year, it's just like, yeah, these teams are good. And there's times where you're like, yeah, this team can win everything.
Yeah.
But you hit midseason 2/3 of the way through the year and something's not right. And that's exactly how I feel about this. Like I watched it with the Orioles this year. It was just like, yeah, this team's really good, really good, really good. And then it was like, all right, there's some injuries, and then it just like there's something missing with that team from late June through the rest of the year.
Mhm.
There was just something off, and that's how I feel about the Ravens right now. Don't have faith, and that might just be my pessimism as a Baltimore sports fan
Maybe.
for it getting better. So that's where I'm at.
I'll say this. I mean, they still have a high power offense, but it does seem like when you run into specific teams with defenses that match up against you, you definitely hit a brick wall. You've seen it a few times now this season. Even outside of the losses, it's been a problem. I mean, maybe that's people adjusting to Lamar a little bit better than what you were anticipating.
That and if you can disrupt the right side of that O line,
Yeah,
they're having a really rough day, and it Lamar has to be Superman.
yeah, and it's just not going to happen. So
Yeah, it's just not sustainable.
definitely some worries there going forward. So you have 4 games left on your year. 2 of them are tough games, one against Pittsburgh and one against Houston. The other 2 are Cleveland and some who's the other game?
Texans.
No, no, no. I already said
Oh, no,
Houston.
you said the Texans.
Yeah,
I forget what
it's
the last one
literally
is.
week 15. Giants. No, the Giants.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they get the bye this week. They go into the New York. They'll boat race the Giants, and everybody will be talking about it again. But like, I just won't have the same faith.
Yeah, you guys get instead of 3 straight weeks that you're going to be tested like the Steelers, you get 2 with Pittsburgh and Houston. So you'll kind of know going into both those games what you need to happen and kind of what you're expecting. But if Pittsburgh win this week against Cincy and then they beat you, they wrap that division up. So it's interesting. All right, who's your 8?
I got the Vikings at 8.
I have the Chargers at 8. I have the Vikings
I
at
have the Chargers
6.
at 7.
Okay, so we had same top
Yeah,
10 again.
we're right there. Yeah.
all around the place.
Different order there. Yeah, no, I don't really know what to do with the Vikings at this point. I'm giving them credit, but like I'm just not sure. Like
So
I know the record says one thing, but I don't totally buy it. And I've like started off on like the victory lap on Sam Darnold thing to I don't understand exactly.
I think a better team. I guess that's not what I was gonna say. They're not as good of a team as their record shows. True.
Yes.
However, they are in it like the Chiefs, where they just find ways to win games. Also true. So with that, I have to respect the Chiefs enough. I'm not this week, but I have to respect them enough to rank them higher based on kind of what I'm seeing. So
That's fair.
if they would have lost one of those last two games that were close, whether it's against Cardinals or who they play last week and they just barely won.
Bears in
The
overtime.
Bears. That's who I thought it was. Or if they lose to the Bears, I'd have them at 10 or not in the top 10. It's one of those two things. So
we're kind
I
of on
think-
the same plane with
Yeah.
that. We have the same thoughts on that. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm very.
I
They're
have them.
a tough one for me at this point to like
Yeah.
really know how I feel about them.
I have them at 6 for kind of those reasons. They're a pretty cohesive team. You kind of know what you're getting every week. Same with
I have
same
them
with
at
the
8
Chargers.
because I have the Chargers and the Packers. I am less surprised by them making a conference championship game than I am the Vikings.
I don't think the Vikings are going far in the playoffs, but
No,
I
and
think
that's
they're
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
I think
just saying
it'll
if
be
I
a
looked
fun
up
game.
and one of those three teams was in a conference championship game, that's the one I'm most surprised about.
That's fair. Chargers now. I mean, they keep doing it. I mean, I had a feeling they were going to go in and beat the Falcons this week. They did that. Kind of really dominated that game defensively, really shut shit down, and that's what you want.
Struggled on offense. Like that was an ugly game.
They definitely didn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have as good of a day offensively as I was expecting them to. I guess Atlanta's defense decided they were going to play today or Sunday, but that didn't matter when Kirk figured he'd just sit on the sideline all game. So kind of going hand in hand with that.
Say that's the one thing I am mildly concerned about with the Chargers is
their run game not being the same.
If Dobbins isn't there come the playoffs, I'm much more concerned about the Chargers at that point.
Yeah, Gus
Edwards
did not. He didn't
6
give
for
him any
32.
juice.
No, I mean, but not even that. I mean, 6 for 32 isn't. I mean, that's 5+
It's
yards
not bad.
carry.
But you're also just showing
your
that
leading
you
rusher.
don't.
Yeah, your leading rusher also can't have 32.
Yeah, you're not committing to the run game like you once were. You're not doing it. And if you take that away from you immediately, then you're not really going to open up the passing attack. That's what that's there for.
Right.
So
for sure.
When somebody knows that you're just going to keep throwing the ball, you can prepare for that because they know that you got a 30-year-old running back.
Herbert only had 23 attempts.
Yeah, it was just a weird game overall.
Extremely weird game. Falcons had 77 total plays in that game. The Chargers 46.
I mean, it's going to happen when you turn the ball over in your end 4 times and they have short yardage.
For sure, yeah. I don't know. It was a weird game, but I don't know. I like Harbaugh. I like Herbert. I like the Chargers.
Yeah, I think it all works.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got up to that. 5, I think we have the same team here.
We got the Steelers. Yeah. I want to push them up. I physically can't. It's not because they don't deserve it. It's just the teams above them are doing either not enough to lose in the Kansas City aspect or doing more than enough to get there. So the Steelers and there's a gap between 5 and 6. I will say this: there is a gap. It's not like 6-5. It's like 6 a gap.
No, I agree with that.
Then 5. And then there's a small gap, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Steelers are kind of in their own little island right now.
Yeah, where like I said too, if they go 2-1 in that stretch of 3 weeks with the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs, I will be 100% bought into the Steelers at that point.
Yeah.
And I will 10 toes down, be like, this team can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think, and I feel like I say this almost every year, I think this is Tomlin's best season in recent years as a head coach. He's making calls that everybody questioned, and it is working out.
Yes,
And
because
nobody's
we talked about
nobody's
he's a great
questioning it
coach,
anymore.
like willing teams to 9-8 and 8-8 or eight. What was the 1 year 8-1 or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Like the dude just gets the absolute most out of every team that he has. This one is different because he's gone against the grain several times too, and it's very clear that this is all Tomlin making
Hmm.
this happen, and it's
Yeah.
insane to me what he's
Yeah.
doing with
And
this
they're
team.
doing it despite not having their top two players on defense having like the most insane year.
Right?
It's
Yeah,
not
exactly. Yeah, no, it's just
Minka's a little quiet this year, and TJ Watt, he's having an all pro, potentially defensive player of the year caliber season, but it hasn't been his best season he's put on paper. But he is disrupting the game in other ways, and you're kind of
yeah,
seeing that. Similar to like kind of what
for sure.
everybody made that argument for Myles Garrett last year and what he did and house up. So if
Yeah,
you're going to make that argument last year for Myles Garrett, you kind of have to do the same thing for TJ Watt this year. So
for
it's just
sure, for
kind of
sure.
like one of those things. But the Steelers overall, they feel very balanced. I've never felt like a
Yeah, no,
balanced
no, no.
Steelers
They're
team.
not. Yeah, for an organization that has been so defensive focused,
Yeah.
they finally put it all together.
Yeah, like at the back end of the Ben years, like when he was good, I'll say from like 16 to 18, 16 to 19 even. It was offensive heavy. Offense won them games. Their defense was a liability, to say the least. Now they flipped it to defense heavy. Offense was a liability. This is the first time where I feel like the defense and offense complement each other very well.
Yeah,
They
more
are
than a
first.
decade.
They are first in the NFL in time of possession. First.
Insane, absolutely insane. Yeah, no,
So
again, I can't say enough good things about the Steelers team this year, as much as it pains me because I hate you. But
trust
yeah,
me, I'm as shocked as you are. Just as shocked.
yeah. All right, so let's
So
get to the top four. We have the same four teams. I want to hear your order because I already
you
said
want to
I
hear my?
got
Do you want me to go 4-1 or 1-4?
go 4-1. Go four to
All right,
one.
my team in my fourth spot is Kansas City. Team in the three is the Bills. Team in the two is the Eagles. Team in the one is the Lions.
Okay, mine in the four spot. I got the Lions.
Wow. Okay.
In the three spot I got the Chiefs. In the two
Bills.
spot, go ahead
Okay.
and guess who I got in the two spot.
You got the Bills, Eagles in the one.
I got the Bills at 2. I got the Eagles at 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So
That's wild. That's kind of
who's your
wild.
4 again? The Chiefs? You got the Chiefs
The
at 4?
Chiefs. You have them at 3.
Yeah, this is not. I don't think we differ too much on this one. That's why I wanted to start there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't think we
get
differ
why.
too much on it.
Yeah, I get why you have the Lions at 4. You're very concerned about their injuries. We talked about
Yeah,
this the other
that's
day.
my thing. Is you got 18 guys on IR, you keep losing defensive pieces. It's not, and like they've been dealing with that for a while now, or for several weeks at least. And I get that, but at some point it becomes unsustainable. And I think we're getting to that point here. Now we'll
Yeah.
see for sure. But also,
Yeah.
like you had those last couple injuries, you had complete control of that game against the Bears last week.
For sure.
And the Bears were able to get back into that game. So, like, we already kind of saw it in the second half of that game. Now, they unfortunately play on a Thursday, but don't get the full 10 days of rest when they really need it with all the injuries because the NFL does that, where it's, you get 3 games on Thursday and they kind of plan ahead for who they think the 3 best teams the 2 best teams are going to be on Thanksgiving, and then they play the following Thursday. So, that's the other part of it too. Why I'm very high on the Packers this week. It's just I think that the Lions are just in a tough spot more than anything.
Yeah, I think I get exactly what you're saying. I am always on the board of show it to me, show me that you can't do it, and that's fine. Then I'm rather be late to the party than the
I was
only
gonna say
one
your
there.
top tens are what have you shown me more than what do I think is going on?
Yeah,
What is going to
yeah.
happen? I
Because
have a bit more of where are
yeah,
we going from here mixed
I'm
into mine.
yeah, I'm always on the plane of I will be more than happy to be late to something. More
That's
than
fair.
happy to be. Because if I'm the only one on that party, only one, I've played Dynasty the same way. If I'm the only one that has interest, there's no value in it. None at all. So it's same thing with these rankings. if this team continues to show me otherwise, regardless of what they're doing, that they can win the games, I'm gonna buy into that because you're showing me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
No, that's
drop you
entirely fair.
despite that.
I get that.
Yeah,
I don't have
that's
any
also the
real
same.
issues with it.
Yeah, also the same reason I'm not fully bought into like teams like the Rams yet or other guys like that because until I know for sure what's going on there, I'm not in yet.
Well, I can
I'd
tell you
rather
that the
again,
Rams are
I'd rather
sitting
be
there on the
late.
outside looking in on my top tens still.
Of course they are.
Because if they
They're
get to the
always lurking
dance,
for you.
dude, if they get to the dance, all bets are off at that point.
We
I'm
will
still,
we will talk about that in January.
yeah.
All right.
However, again, so Bills, I think you have the Bills at 1, right?
I have the Bills at 3.
Wait, who did you
I have
have?
the
You have the
Lions at
Lions
1,
at 1, Eagles at
Eagles
2,
at 2, Bills, Chiefs.
Bills at 3. So I'm assuming we kind of have a similar thought process on Bills versus Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, the
Similar.
Eagles. Yeah, Eagles are just a slightly better team. That's what I would say.
I was gonna say it's
I think it comes down to
AJ
defense
Brown and Devontae Smith outweigh Amari Cooper.
and nothing else.
So yeah, that like kind of tandem. So you look at the
No,
Eagles, you got
I get what
AJ
you're.
Brown,
I get what
Devontae
you're.
Smith, Saquon, Jalen Hurts, that main
The-
four
the-
on offense, versus James
Josh
Cook, Josh Allen, Amari Cooper,
Dalton Kincaid.
the fourth one.
Even
I
then,
know what
if
I'm
you want to
getting.
say Kincaid, the Eagles have Goddard. It's
Well,
one
I'm just saying,
offense
if we're
is
just taking
definitely superior
the
to the
top
other
four
on paper.
playmakers on offense, I lean towards that Eagles core versus
Yeah.
the
No,
Bills.
100%.
And
Yeah,
not only that,
100%.
it's just on the perimeter. I like Amari Cooper a lot for that
Yeah.
team,
He's just not
but
AJ Brown.
he's a safety valve more than he is a playmaker.
Yeah.
AJ Brown
100%.
is a safety valve and a playmaker. Devontae Smith is a flat out playmaker. Saquon
100%.
is
Everything.
again, in my opinion, the MVP. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's where I go with that. I like both of those teams more than I like the Chiefs at this moment.
I mean, for me,
this is the one that I'm getting to the point of like, all right, what are you showing me at this point? I'm still like on my Chiefs probably end up in the Super Bowl kind of thing, but like
fair,
in terms of what
yeah.
I'm seeing right now, those two I like.
No, definitely understandable. I like the Eagles more so because of the defensive side than the offensive, but I get that point as well.
And that's the other
comparing
thing too. Again,
playmakers
yeah,
and
Vic
everything.
Fangio, that defense is finally
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah.
And then watching it firsthand is, I mean, that's a really fucking scary team, and they could.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about it last week before the Lions injuries. Could legitimately be the number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's
we'll
terrifying.
see how these last 5 weeks play out in the NFL and
No,
see what happens. But you got anything else for us?
not on this one. No.
All right, let's save the rest of the yapping for the next episode for you guys. And we're going to let you go. It's been fun.
And we're gonna yell some more, I think.
Oh, for
honestly.
sure.
So,
All
all right, let's get out of here.
we'll catch you.